There's a video on the internet that will genuinely disturb you, not because of what happens in it, but because of what doesn't happen. No screaming, no running, no chaos. Just a figure, dressed head to toe in full police SWAT gear, helmet, vest, gloves, slowly walking the empty hallways of a church in Texas at 4 in the morning. Methodically opening doors, occasionally stopping, breaking glass with a hammer, moving with this strange, almost limping walk that nobody has ever been able to explain. The figure knows the cameras are there, you can tell. They never look directly at them. They just move through that building like they belong there, like they've been there before. And somewhere in that footage, in a moment the police have never released to the public, that figure and a 45-year-old mother of 3 named Missy Bevers crossed paths. Missy didn't make it out. The figure in the SWAT gear did, and 10 years later, they still haven't been caught. Midlothian, Texas. It's the kind of town where people know their neighbors, where the same families go to the same churches for generations. Small enough that a murder would shake the whole place to its core. Big enough that someone could still disappear into it. Missy Bevers wasn't the kind of person who had enemies. Every single person who knew her said that, and it didn't feel like the thing people just say after someone dies. It felt true. She was born Terri Leanne Strickland, August 9th, 1970, in Graham, Texas. Grew up in a small town, went to Jacksboro High School, got a degree from Tarleton State University. She was the kind of woman who went back to school in her late 20s to get a teaching certificate in special education. She spent years working with kids who needed extra help, extra patience, extra care. That tells you something about a person. She married Brandon Bevers in 1998. They built a life together in Red Oak, just east of Midlothian. They had 3 daughters, Hannah, Allie, and little Sarah, who was only 8 years old when her mom died. At some point in her 40s, Missy found a new passion, fitness. She got into shape, started teaching Camp Gladiator boot camps, intense outdoor workout sessions, and by all accounts, she was good at it. People loved her classes. They loved her. She'd post on social media constantly, rallying her students, cheering them on. She called them gladiators. She meant it. She was one of those people who genuinely made the air in a room feel a little lighter. Sunday night, April 17th, 2016. A storm was rolling into Midlothian. Heavy rain, thunder. The kind of night where you just want to stay home and sleep. Missy had a 5 a.m. boot camp class scheduled the next morning. She usually held it outside in the church parking lot. They used Creekside Church of Christ as their meeting point. But that night, she made a decision. She posted on Facebook, telling her students the class would be moved inside the church because of the weather. "No excuses," she wrote. "You are gladiators." That's who she was, rain or shine, come hell or high water. She had no idea that post, that one simple Facebook update, telling the world exactly where she'd be, at exactly what time, may have been the thing that got her killed. Here's the thing about Creekside Church of Christ. The outdoor security cameras weren't working that night. Whether that was a coincidence or something more deliberate, nobody knows. But the cameras inside the church, those were working just fine. And at 3:50 in the morning, they captured something. A figure enters the building through a side door. The door had signs of forced entry. A pry bar had been used to get in. The church had no alarm system. The person is dressed in full tactical gear, a black helmet, a black vest with the word police across the chest, black gloves, they're carrying a hammer. For the next 30 minutes, this figure moves through the church, opening doors, shattering glass in a storage room, walking the hallways with that distinctive, limping gait, feet pointed outward, right side more pronounced than the left. Not rushing, not panicking, almost methodical, like they were checking rooms, looking for something, or waiting. Police would later describe the figure's movement as having a feminine sway, but they couldn't confirm the gender. The gear covered everything: height, build, face, all hidden. This person knew the cameras were there, and they didn't care. They just made sure you could never see their face. At 4:18 a.m., Missy Bevers pulled into the church parking lot. She was early. She was always early. She parked close to the front door so she could carry her equipment in more easily. She had no idea someone was already inside waiting. Her licensed gun, the one she sometimes carried, was left in her car. She didn't feel like she needed it. She went in. Nobody knows exactly where in that church they met. The police have footage of Missy walking the hallways. They've never released it. They won't say where in the building she was found. They won't confirm what the exact sequence of events was. What they will say, what the warrants and the official reports confirm, is this: Missy Bevers was struck with a blunt object to the head. She had multiple puncture wounds to her chest. The medical examiner noted that the wounds were consistent with tools the suspect was carrying throughout the building. The hammer. At 5 a.m., her students started arriving for class. They walked into the church, probably expecting Missy to already have the room set up, music playing, that energy she always brought. Instead, they found her body. She was lying there, unresponsive, in a pool of blood. Her wedding ring was still on her finger, her purse, her iPad, her personal belongings, all still there, nothing stolen, not a single thing taken from the church either. They called 911. By the time the paramedics arrived, Missy was gone, and the person in the SWAT gear already disappeared into the early morning darkness of a Texas rainstorm. Gone. Later that same day, Midlothian Police Chief Carl Smith made a decision. He released the surveillance footage. Within hours, it was everywhere. The news, social media, Reddit, Facebook groups. People couldn't stop watching it. Not because it was graphic, it wasn't, but because of how wrong it felt. There's something deeply unsettling about watching a person in full SWAT gear just casually walking a church hallway at 4 in the morning, smashing glass, completely calm. It doesn't compute in your brain. It doesn't fit any pattern of behavior that makes normal sense. The police released it, hoping someone would recognize the walk, that specific, limping, duck-footed gait. They said publicly, "Whoever you are, someone in your life knows how you walk. A spouse, a friend, a coworker. Someone has seen that walk before." Over 3,000 tips poured in. None of them led to an arrest. When police start investigating a murder, they always start close to home. Family first. That's just how it works. Brandon Bevers, Missy's husband, was on an annual fishing trip in Biloxi, Mississippi. One of Missy's students called him that morning and told him there'd been a robbery at the church and that Missy was, and this is how it was phrased, no longer with us. Brandon didn't fully understand what that meant at first. He got in his car and drove 8 hours back to Texas. 8 hours alone, in a car, not really knowing what he was going home to. When he got to the police station, he said the moment he sat down with investigators, he could feel it. The way they were looking at him, the questions they were asking. He was being assessed as a suspect. You could tell they were trying to figure out how this had come to be, he said later. His alibi held. He was confirmed in Mississippi. He was cleared. But then police dug deeper into the marriage. Search warrants on Missy's phone and iPad revealed something the public didn't know. The marriage hadn't been perfect. There were financial struggles, and there had been an affair, one that came to light back in 2014. Brandon confirmed it in an interview years later. He said they'd been working through it. He said his priority was his daughters, and then the investigation. He also said something that stuck with investigators. Over time, he stopped believing this was a random act. He came to believe it was someone Missy knew, someone who had a motive. It had to be someone she knew, he told reporters. Here's where things get genuinely strange. Less than 3 days before she was murdered, Missy showed a private message to a friend. It had come through LinkedIn, the professional networking site. She'd received it from a man neither of them recognized. The friend told police the message was, quote, creepy and strange. That's all we know. The specific contents of that message have never been made public. The name of the account that sent it has never been released. Whether police ever identified that person, whether they were ever spoken to, ever ruled out, none of it has been confirmed. But that wasn't the only thing police found on LinkedIn. Going back through Missy's messages, investigators found a string of conversations with another man. These had been going on since January 2016, 4 months before her death. What started as professional messaging had apparently turned flirtatious, then intimate. The messages had been deleted. Forensic extraction pulled some of them back. Police believe Missy may have been in contact with her killer before that morning. They believe the killer may have been monitoring her social media, tracking her schedule, planning this. And then there's the most disturbing detail in the warrant documents. Investigators suspected that the killer, whoever they were, may have used a smartphone to film the murder. Think about that for a second. Someone walked into that church, killed Missy Bevers, and may have recorded it. A few weeks after the murder, a nearby sporting goods store called police. Their parking lot camera had caught something on the morning of April 18th, the same morning Missy was killed. A dark Nissan Altima, or possibly an Infiniti G37, had pulled into the lot at around 2 a.m., hours before the murder. The driver's behavior was bizarre. They circled the lot slowly. Then they flashed the headlights on and off, randomly, like a signal or a glitch. Then they parked in a secluded corner, engine off, sat there for a few minutes, and then left, pulling back out onto US 287. The lot is right next to Creekside Church. Police released the footage, asking anyone who recognized the vehicle to come forward. Nobody did. The owner of that car has never been publicly identified. Whether it's connected to the murder or just an odd coincidence, nobody can say for certain. But it's never stopped haunting the people who worked this case. Over the years, a handful of names surfaced publicly. None of them resulted in charges. But let's walk through what we know. Randy Bevers, Brandon's father, drew attention when, 4 days after the murder, he took a blood-stained shirt to a dry cleaner. The dry cleaner saw the murder on the news and immediately called police. Randy said it was dog blood. 2 of his dogs had gotten into a fight and he'd gotten caught in it. Police analyzed the shirt. Confirmed dog blood. No human DNA. Randy was in California on the morning of the murder, cleared, but people also noticed something else. Randy walked with a limp, and his right leg had an outward pronation, very similar to the walk in the church footage. Police noticed it too. They still cleared him because the alibi was airtight. But the internet never quite let it go. Bobby Wayne Henry was a former Lancaster police officer. A tip about him came in, not once, but multiple times over the years. He was the kind of person who fit the profile on paper. Former tactical officer, meaning he would have had experience with SWAT gear. He admitted he still owned his riot gear, though he said it no longer fit him. He walked with a limp. He drove a dark-colored SUV similar to the vehicle of interest. He attended Mass at Creekside Church, the same church Missy was murdered in. He even worked security at Missy's funeral. Police took the tip seriously enough to bring in a forensic podiatrist, an expert in analyzing how people walk, to compare Henry's gait to the footage from the church. The results were inconclusive. The major problem? Henry was 6 feet 1 inch. The person in the footage was estimated between 5 feet 2 inches and 5 feet 8 inches. That's a significant discrepancy. In 2017, Henry was arrested for unrelated child pornography charges. While in jail, he gave an interview and denied ever knowing Missy or even knowing her name. His alibi for the morning of the murder was eventually confirmed. He was ruled out. No one else has ever been publicly named. It's been 10 years now. 10 years since Missy's students walked into that church at 5 in the morning and found her on the floor. 10 years since Brandon Bevers drove 8 hours home from Mississippi, not knowing what was waiting for him. 10 years since 3 little girls lost their mother. The reward money has grown from $10,000 at the start to $150,000 now. Someone out there presumably knows something. Enough people have looked at that footage that if someone recognized that walk, they would have said something. Maybe they did. Maybe they were afraid. Maybe they're still afraid. The Midlothian Police Department insists this is not a cold case. They say they still receive over 100 new leads a year from all over the world. They say they're using new forensic technology to re-examine evidence. They say no one has been completely ruled out. Brandon Bevers still has the last voicemail Missy ever left him, saved on his phone. He said he listens to it sometimes because it captures who she was. He said her voice embodies her personality, and that's what he holds on to. He has also said that in the years since her death, he's been through counseling and treated for PTSD and anxiety. One of their daughters, Hannah, said, "Strangers have messaged her on Facebook with theories about who killed her mother. She's had to live with this publicly. Her mother's murder turned into an internet obsession, while she's just been trying to survive losing a parent." Missy's mother-in-law wrote an open letter to the killer in the days after the murder and posted it on Facebook. Part of it read, "Your husband or wife and family members know who you are. They know your special walk." That line has always stayed with people close to this case. They know your special walk. Here's what we're left with. Somebody planned this. This wasn't random. Police believe the scene was staged to look like a burglary, but that was a cover. Someone tracked Missy's social media. They knew where she'd be and when. They put on SWAT gear, the kind of thing you'd wear if you wanted to obscure your body, your height, your gender, your identity. And they went into that church in the middle of the night and they waited for her. They killed her. They filmed it, maybe. They walked out. And they have been living their life for 10 years since then. Someone knows who this person is. Maybe it's someone who recognized that walk the first time the footage aired and convinced themselves to stay quiet. Maybe it's someone who noticed a set of tactical gear in a closet that shouldn't be there. Maybe it's someone reading their significant other's strange behavior that week in April 2016 and choosing not to ask questions. The $150,000 reward is still active. If you have any information, you can contact Crime Stoppers of Ellis County at 9729377297 or the Midlothian Police Department directly. Missy Bevers was 45 years old. She was a mother of 3. She went to work at 4 in the morning in a thunderstorm because she didn't believe in making excuses. She deserved better than this, and her family deserves an answer.